Hello, my name is Jeffrey Nicholas. I'm an associate professor of philosophy at Providence College. This is a lecture series on Aristotle's Nichomachean Ethics. As you can see, this lecture series will include 9 parts. I'll discuss who Aristotle is, then his concept of eudaimonia, which we typically translate as happiness, but which I will offer as understanding of self-fulfillment. We'll move to a discussion of virtue as the golden mean between two extremes. We'll talk about the different kinds of actions that Aristotle considers, voluntary, involuntary, and non-voluntary, and what makes an action voluntary, and how that leads to character. Then we'll discuss incontinence, friendship, contemplation, the intellectual virtues, and we'll end the series with assessing Aristotle. To begin, I just want to give some background on Aristotle, who was born in 384 BC in Stagira, which is part of Macedonia, and died in 322 BC. His father, Nicomachean, was the physician to Philip of Macedon. You may know Philip as the father of Alexander the Great. There have been several movies about Alexander. Aristotle was a tutor of Alexander. He obviously received this position through his connection with the prince and through his father's connection with Philip of Macedon. At 17, Aristotle entered Plato's academy and stayed there for 20 years. This might seem like an extreme amount of time to us. Typically, the PhD program today lasts about 7 years, could take up to 9 years. But even if you include the undergraduate years, then you're talking at most 13 years studying philosophy. Aristotle stayed with Plato's academy because he was not only studying, but he was really engaged in philosophy with Plato. After the death of Plato, Aristotle traveled east. In 342, he was called to educate Alexander, as I've already mentioned. And in 335, he established the Lyceum in Athens. And he maintained that until the politics changed and Alexander's death, and then he escaped from Athens for fear of his life, afraid that he might be killed the same way that Socrates was. We might think of Aristotle trying to address a particular kind of problem. He addressed several kinds of problems, but we're going to focus on the problems associated with ethics. And so his question is, what is the good life? We got to remember that Aristotle is living at a time of great social consensus. The Greek states are divided, of course, and Macedonia is a imperial presence within the Greek states. But there's still a consensus about what it means to be a good Greek. And in fact, the reason that Alexander wanted to take over Greece was to give more respect to Macedonia, to give more respect to the idea that he is the embodiment of a good Greek life. And so the question here is, how do people become good? Now, this might be a little bit different from the questions we ask today because we don't have a lot of social consensus around these ideas. And that we'll come back to that point in the assessment of Aristotle's philosophy. What I shall argue then is what I shall argue throughout this presentation is that Aristotle's idea about the good life is still relevant today and perhaps a better guide for us than many of the other ideas we have about ethics today. Now, obviously, I've already said that Aristotle has studied with Plato for 20 years, so we have to situate Aristotle with against his background studying Plato. So Plato had a variety of theses. Knowledge necessarily leads to good action. So this is the idea that if we know what the good is, then we'll automatically do the good. Now, if we look around today, we know that that's not necessarily true. We can see that in our own lives. Often we know what the good is, and we don't always do what's good. Also, we need knowledge of the idea of the good. And so this reminds us that for Plato, the ideas, good, human, any kind of universal that we might think of, are immaterial, and yet they exist. They're a universal archetype that have more reality than the everyday substances that we might encounter. And it's only philosophers who have this knowledge of the good for Plato. So for Plato, happiness requires only virtue, not external goods. It's important to remember this when we think about his hero, Socrates. Remember that Socrates died poor, he was executed by the state, he could not take care of his family. So Socrates had no external goods, but according to Plato, was a virtuous person, and for that reason died with happiness. Now, Aristotle is going to reject a number of those ideas, and we want to situate that in the kinds of differences that Plato and Aristotle have. So, in discussing Plato, I talked about these ideas that we know through our rational knowledge. Our mind has access to them that our body does not. Aristotle is more of an empiricist, if we want to use that anachronistically, in the sense that he believes that we have to understand the universals in their everyday appearance. So there's no such thing as the human being that universally exists outside of any particular human being, and yet there's something that all human beings share, a certain kind of organization, if you will. Plato rejects the opinion of the many. Aristotle doesn't simply just reject it, but he begins there. And we'll see that when we get into a discussion of eudaimonia. So we begin with the opinion of the many to find where the truth is. And finally, for Plato, the good is universal and immaterial, but for Aristotle, the good is universal, but it exists in individual beings. And so there's going to be more of an emphasis in Aristotle of requiring not only the virtues, but a certain amount of luck in terms of external goods, like money and fame, in order to live a virtuous life. So that situates Aristotle within his time and against Plato as his background. The ethics that we're going to look at can be divided into these parts, so determining what the good is, outlining the nature of the virtues, what are the conditions for virtue, and then discussions of the particular virtues, continence and incontinence, friendship, pleasure, and then state education. This is a basic outline of Aristotle's Nichomachean Ethics, which is the focus of this lecture series. We see at the bottom there that state education is going to be tied into the ethical program, and that's something that's very different for us today. But remember that for Aristotle, there's a unity or a consensus within his society about what the good Greek is. And so what he believes is that we need to train people to be good Greeks. And so a question that we might find challenging both for ourselves and for our study of Aristotle is whether there's any such thing as a good person that we can all look up to, and what qualities that person has. And those qualities would be things that we would call virtues. So that leaves us at a good place to end here with an introduction to just Aristotle's life. And we'll move on from here into a discussion of what is the good with Aristotle. Thank you.